Hi guys, welcome back to Matchfishing TV UK. Thanks for tuning in again. Just wanted to say before we start, massive thank you to everybody that's watched the first 3 videos that we've put on so far. Been really encouraged with the response. Subscribers are going up. Please like and subscribe if you want to see more of what we're doing here. We've got some more live action coming up from matches. The last match put a little bit of an apology on the video because obviously we lacked a little bit of action because of the weather conditions. We lost some of the cameras, had to put the chest camera that I use away, so that was unfortunate, but we have acquired some new stuff up here, so we got even more of the waterproof stuff that we need to keep the cameras rolling. I do have a match coming up next week, so we'll be putting that on camera. That's going to be at Albans Lakes near St Albans, which is a fantastic bream and carp venue, big weights when there, so hopefully draw well and can give you some better action. But today's video, top tackle buying tips. Now, I don't have thousands of pounds to go out and spend on match fishing equipment. I've got a young family, and as I've said before, I get out to do about 10 to 12 matches a year if I'm lucky. This is a rare sort of treat for me this month because I'm going to get out twice in sort of 3 or 4 weeks, which is brilliant. But I don't have thousands of pounds to go and spend, but I do feel that I've got a pretty good setup. I've got pretty much everything that you need to be competitive. You need to look at the waters that you're fishing really and identify the sort of equipment that you need. It can be found on a budget. You don't have to get rubbish stuff. Looking back to when I first started match fishing when I was very young in the sort of mid to late 90s, if you bought budget stuff, it was horrible. You're talking about, match rods that were thicker than a plank of wood. I mean, I'm exaggerating, but they were horrible. They were thick, didn't come with lined rings. When I was a kid on a budget, I had to buy all the Argos stuff, for example, just to get out on the bank, and it was horrible, and the reels were terrible, etc. But you can pick up some really good sort of mid-range stuff for a very, very good price these days, and it works. A lot of the stuff I use, I would class in the mid-range stuff, but I make a point of shopping around, looking for good used stuff, and making sure that I've got all of the kit that I need to cover all eventualities. And if something doesn't quite work for me, I get it straight back on eBay and I'll go and get something else, be that from eBay, be that from tackle shop sales, Angling Direct, all the usual places. So I'm going to run you through a couple of the bits and pieces that I've got and give you some tips on how you can get yourself kitted up without having to remortgage the house. So number 5 on my list of tips is rods. So rods, if you do a lot of feeder fishing, if you're going to fish pellet waggler, if you're going to fish with a normal float setup, maybe, if you're going to fish for carp or if you're going to fish for smaller stuff, there are different rods that you'll need to cover those eventualities. Now, when you watch the promos from the tackle companies, obviously tackle companies make their money by selling more tackle. So they will say to you that you need a 12-foot plus rod to cast out 70 meters, for example. So if you're going to be going to a venue regularly where you've got to do that, you will need that length of rod. There's no doubt about it. If you then think, right, I need an 11, a 10, a 9-foot rod for the different distances you're going to be working back, well, actually, if you don't have a big pot of cash to spend, your 12-foot rod will do your 40-meter work. It will do your 30-meter work if you really need it to. But think about what you can afford and that balance. The second thing I would say is in terms of rods, I've got some fantastic bargains over last year. I don't have a rod which I class in the sort of upper range of the rods out there. All my rods are sort of medium range prices, £50, etc. But when I do my shopping, I have managed to pick up a lot of those rods for a lot less than that £50. I would say look back. So look at what was hot on the market a couple of years ago from all the big brands, Preston, Guru, Daiwa, etc. And have a look on eBay, have a look on Spock and all the local buying sites. Put in the keyword. On some of them you can save it as a search and leave it there, because what was a fantastic rod 2 years ago is not suddenly going to be a terrible rod today, but you may well pick up something that's, you know, quite premium for a not very premium price. Okay, number 4 is seat boxes. So this could arguably be the most important thing. If you don't have somewhere decent to sit during a match is 5 to 6 hours, it's going to be a long old time. Now, when I first got back into match fishing, I bought what I felt was a fairly capable box, and it had one of those lever platform systems on the front, so you kind of peeled it up at the end of the match and tucked it on your box. Looked perfectly fit for purpose as I was feeling my way in. You know, it was fairly comfortable to sit on. It was okay. However, every time I got up from my box to have a look at something, I nearly fell in the water because the whole thing nearly collapsed on its own hinge system. So what I would say is you need to find yourself a decent box with a decent cassette footplate. It's very stable with the footplate, and it just takes out that problem. You can put nice accessories off the legs as well on those ones, so look out for one. Now again, you don't have to spend thousands of pounds on a box. You know, you can, if you want, go and get a Preston Absolute Carbon for a couple of grand. But what I would recommend is, again, look back, look at the boxes that were top of the market 3-4 years ago, and have a look for what they're retailing for second hand on all of the websites that you can go. Go to the tackle suppliers as well, Angling Direct, Bobco, Fishing Republic, all those sort of guys, and have a look at what they've got in clearance, and then look at the reviews on them. If they were decent 3-4 years ago, they're still decent. They won't be as light as the ones that are out now, but they'll do a solid job for you. And then when you want to upgrade, you know, again, get them back on eBay or whatever, get some money back on them, and then go again. Number 3 for me is reels. So you can go out and you can spend hundreds of pounds on a reel, and I don't think I own a reel that's more than 50 quid, and I don't think I've ever lost a fish because of the reel that I've been using. I don't think I've ever not enjoyed playing a fish because of the reel that I've been using. To me, the real choice, if you're fishing 4 or 5 matches a week, like some of these guys are, I look at it like golf clubs. So the top pros have a couple of grand worth of golf clubs, and they need them because they will wear them out quickly. The mid-range reels that you can buy now are fantastic. You look at ball bearings in them, to be honest, as a sign of, you know, the smoothness, how long they're going to last. But everything's relative. If you get a reel, I'd say, with a minimum of sort of 3, then you're okay, as long as it's the right size. Again, check the reviews. Check that it's from a reputable brand. That's what I will say. Don't go for one of the cheapest chips brands, because they usually are terrible. But you can pick up some fantastic reels for the £20-30 mark these days. I use, for a good majority of my fishing, £30 reels for sort of short to medium work on the feeder, and they're great. They've never let me down. So I've got no problem with them. I've in fact taken those £20-30 reels that I use, and I've bought a couple more in clearance from tackle shops. So I picked up one the other day for £17. You can't really go wrong with that. And if you're confident using something, then it's okay as far as I'm concerned. And number 2 is accessories. So by accessories, I mean all the stuff that goes on your seat box, all the stuff that goes into making your fishing easier because you've got stuff to hand. Now, I don't think when it comes to seat box accessories that you should scrimp on these, because I have tried. So if you buy a cheap side tray, it will be heavy, it will be fairly useless. So I got my hand in my pocket a little while ago and I bought a Matrix XL extending side tray. It's the best side tray I've ever used. It's brilliant. It folds down. You know, I wouldn't ever change that. I've also very recently got Preston top kit support, like the tulip one, and I've got a roost, adjustable roost that goes on, that's not Preston, There's a Browning one that I picked up for £32, I think, which is absolutely fit for purpose. So you can get the bargains there. I guess with the accessories, what I would say is look at what you want. So I've always found the Preston range to be excellent, especially the snap lock stuff. Make your first point of call eBay. Make your first point of call the sale pages on all of the tackle websites and see if you can get it a little cheaper. Again, tackle shops make money from selling new ranges. So if you pick up something of an outgoing range, it could be a feeder rest, something like that. You may well pick up a great bit of kit for half the price because they're phasing in a new range with a couple of new graphics on it in some cases. So shop around and look like that. But accessories, yeah, they're the one thing I don't think that you can skimp on. I do think that the Matrix stuff, the Preston stuff, is excellent. Garbellino coming out with some good stuff. All the top brands really with the boxes are making some excellent stuff to go with them, so I would stick with that. Steer clear of the cheap steel stuff that you'll find on eBay, those kind of places, because as I say, I've tried a couple of them to see if they were, and they are nasty, to be honest. So look for the sale bargains, look for the used bargains. So number one for me in the tackle buying tips is not a specific bit of kit. So we've covered off reels and accessories and rods. We could go into the bags. You need a decent carry-all if you're match fishing. You could do with a decent barrow, for example. What I would say is, in general, it's been mentioned a few times already, eBay. But what I'm going to say is being proactive on eBay. So if you've got your eye out for something, eBay will let you put endless searches in that you can save, and eBay will ping you a little message every time something comes up with your search criteria. So I could type in, for example, Preston Innovations Competition Pro rod holder. There might not be any used ones on there now. I can click the little save icon, and as soon as one is posted by somebody else, it will let me know. I can watch it, I can see if it's a price that's reasonable to me, and I can put a bid on it. So it's all about being proactive. What would you like to get in your kit over the next 6 months? Put a safe search up. You might grab yourself a bargain. I very recently grabbed a Preston Innovations hard case rod holder. So usually would have been about £60 RRP, I think. I picked up a couple of years old one, perfect condition, for £10. For £10. So I saved myself 40 quid there on buying the brand new one. And you know what? I spent that 40 quid on something else to go in my kit. So shop wisely, shop around. It's great. It's always easy to go on the websites or go into the tackle shops and impulse buy. And definitely you should buy stuff from your tackle shop, by the way, because we need those guys to keep going. But be savvy with it. If you've got a limited pot of cash and you want to be competitive in match fishing, then make sure you've got a range of stuff that's going to enable you to be competitive. That's all from me. We'll be back next Thursday with another video, and the week after that we'll have live match action from Albans Lakes.